time, 7:17. But actually, I think I might need to take the camera to the shop because it should read chest right across that freaking little timer LCD. So that's the plan for tonight. And I don't say an insane, triple 500 rep workout or like 3 hour this or just, any kind of randomness that I hear. Not usually. I mean, just like random gimmicky kind of video stuff. But regular ass chest pump, Nothing special, or at least not much special about it. I'm talking heavy Smith bench, maybe some converging cable press, some regular pec deck, some cable flies. And as long as I go hard, I'm going to be able to call this a good workout. Go home, eat, and, know I definitely fucking did something, right? So that's where I think a lot of, well, I guess I don't see it that much. I'm kind of just assuming when I say this, but there's no need to really overcomplicate the lifting portion of things. I was just talking, I just did like a little 30-minute kind of full day of eating where it's really just me talking about diet straight. But it's like the amount of foods that you're eating, that's going to play a much bigger role. Your actual workouts, what you should really just be concerned about is your intensity, what you're fucking bringing to the table in terms of like how hard you're going to move this weight around. And it doesn't have to be all heavy either. If I, let's say I kind of tweak my shoulder or something, I'm not just suddenly going to skip chest, but I'm not just going to keep doing chest like I normally do either, right? I need some kind of little middle ground. So that would be, just do some light squeezing stuff, right? Keep going hard, but maybe just reduce the weight. And I'd have no problem doing a workout like that. So, all there is, if you really boil it down, you got hard, heavy sets, you got lighter squeezing sets where you're a little bit more, torturous. Obviously, if you do a heavy set incline Smith, that set could be over in 30 seconds or 20 seconds, depending on how many, depending on how many, reps you actually got. But let's say a heavy set of 8, yeah, that's like a 30-second set, man. It doesn't take that long. But if you do something like a lighter squeezing, like maybe even a 1-second hold and a 2-second eccentric thing of like cable flies, that could get into a little bit more of a lengthy territory, So all that's to say is, fuck, what's it all to say? Well, but in either case, right, you're still just going hard, So try not to get too caught up with like, I think this is the craziest thing. Guys will talk about the meta. What's the new chest meta for 2024 or 2025? Incline Smith? Is it dumbbell flies? Is it cable press? Is it what's the next best thing? What's the newest kind of whatever? Fuck, man. The basics are always going to work. I'm talking heavy pressing, squeezing flies, all with a reasonable stretch. And then as long as you go hard, you're good. So that's my primary concern. It's not necessarily what movements I'm going in the gym today to pick. It's more so, okay, which movements are going to feel pretty good, and then how hard can I go on them? And that doesn't have to be weight, that can be light squeezing torture or, high exertion, maximum kind of fucking effort. But in either case, if your effort is there, if the intensity is there, and, ideally that's going to be backed up with some hype from some songs or whatever gets you going, right? Maybe you love a like an Optimus Prime TikTok edit monologue, and that's what really gets you in the fucking zone. And dude, slam it on repeat, right? If it works, it works. But that's what I'm thinking. And I was kind of gonna bounce around. I don't know which gym I wanted to go to tonight, but I'll just keep it simple. The Y is gonna work out just perfectly. Incline Smith, cables, more than enough benches to go around, and 7:30, or I guess by the time I get there it'll be 7:30-ish on a Tuesday. I would not expect it to be too busy. So now all I got to do is roll in there, go hard, pose down, come back and eat something, which I'm starting to feel, not the dieting fatigue, but I can tell that the thought is creeping up in the back of my mind where I'm thinking, maybe I wouldn't mind a caniac. Maybe I wouldn't mind a Wendy's spicy chicken meal, right, with fries and a frosty. But I know that I want to get leaner, and guess what? Those kind of meals are not conducive with that overarching goal, right? So don't treat yourself like a dog begging at the dinner table. Just try to thug it out if you're mid-deficit right now. But I think that's all I got. So let's just roll in there, warm up, make sure my shoulders, my rotator cuffs, and everything else in my little movement joints feel good. Pick a movement, and then get this shit happening. So let's get in there. All right, let's not go too crazy. All right, 4 plates would be ludicrous, but 3.5, that makes perfect sense. And that's not just a random thing either. Like after doing some feeler reps, this is about right. This is where I would call the limit of heavy enough where I'm going heavy. It's a heavy set, but not so heavy that I'm asking for trouble, which historically I've not had the best track record of staying in the green zone on, but that has improved, right? My rate of injury is decreasing basically to 0, and I want to keep it that way. So let's just get amped up and go crazy in a reasonably controlled manner. Oh my God, okay. Oh, okay. That might have actually been a little too heavy. Those were good though. Let's lose the 25, do another one. No, okay. Okay. Oh. One more. Strong potential for a drop set as well. That felt harder than the first one. Yeah. 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 Okay. I'm not done. I'm gonna make this kind of a rest pause. So 5, wait a little bit, 5 again, wait a little bit, and then I don't think I'll be able to get 5 more, but just a different kind of intensifier. Yeah. 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 Oh my God, okay. Let's make this one a drop set. I can't do that again. Oh, oh my God. Okay, that's enough incline Smith. Let's pick something new. Not sure what. Now time for what will now be referred to as the Urs fly. And I'm focusing on two things. Shoulders back. Well, actually, I guess that's it. Shoulders back. And then, obviously go hard. But easier said than done. Especially for me, I've got a little bit of a hunching habit. But I have improved on it. Yeah. 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 Okay. Oh. Not bad. I gotta adjust these cables a little bit closer and higher. But one more. Yeah. 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 Oh my God. Oh, holy crap. That stretch is fucking hitting me. So those were kind of some more mid-pec sets. Like when I got to the squeeze especially, I can feel my whole pec top to bottom squeezing. So now let's do a set of very similarly executed flies, but instead of like walking over here, having a big stretch this way, I want a big stretch this way, kind of upward. So I'll do a little bit more of a kind of decline-ish fly. But even though, I am pushing from out here to down, almost like a decline press, I still feel my whole chest, especially at the bottom in the squeezing position, because I don't feel like I'm pushing down. Like by the time I get to here, I only feel like I'm pulling my arms in, even maybe like in and up a little bit. So I still feel my whole chest, lower, mid, upper even, and I can kind of actually feel it physically, not just like in the muscle. If I bend over, I can feel my chest with my chin. I didn't come up with that though, of course. I think there's a clip of Jay saying some shit where during his sets, he would like feel his chest onto his chin. Like, obviously he knew he was squeezing because that was a good cue. So let's do one good one here. Then if I'm pumped enough, this could be it. But let me pick another good TikTok edit. Perfect. Lighter weight on this one too. Oh my God. Okay. One more. drop set style. Then we go find some lighting. Yeah. 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 Oh my God. Yeah. 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 Okay. Oh. Okay. Let's go find some air space. All right, so I'm like 95% sure this thing is actually focusing right. I'm kind of trying a different camera lens where it needs like an external focusing unit. And in exchange for the hassle, get that wide angle. But honestly, it doesn't change much. Even if you're taking your pump picture on like an iPod 6, if you're pumped, you're still gonna look fucking cool. So let's just run through something here. Try not to take too much of the mirror space, even though it is late. The middle of the gym pose down is a little bit, well, your results may vary depending on how tolerant your gym is for this kind of silliness. Let's take a look here. Oh, we're freaking out. There we go. Yeah, you gotta switch to manual. Oh my gosh. Oh, there we go. Well, very fucking pumped. And dude, freaking chest bay, by, no, chest day, by chest day. My waist is getting slimmer and slimmer, adding to the freakiness. Holy crap. I feel like I'm doing a real fucking bodybuilder front relax pose here. But either way, let's not just fucking keep posing down shirtless in the middle of the gym. Let's get out of here. But very good chest day. All right, I have a bit of a goal. I have a little bit of a goal. And I've been saying this a lot, but I gotta stop scrolling, man. Scrolling is fucking terrible. Like it's just not good. Now we all know this. That's not but I am trying to get off of that. So I think I might even, I don't know. Because I don't, like, I want to listen to music. And I want to listen to the music that I have on Spotify. But I don't necessarily want my phone on me when I'm working out. You know, it kind of little distractor style. And you can kind of sneak away from that if you get like one of the Apple Watches with, actually, can you do music just on the Apple Watch? I think you can. Oh man, yeah, that actually might be the way to do it. I don't know, because I want my Spotify playlists and everything, but I don't want to have my phone on me at all times. It's tricky because everything's fucking on it, you know? And then if you wear like one of the fancier watches, that's just basically having your phone on you, because then it's, you know, you're still going to get your texts. You're still going to get all those notifications. So it kind of sucks. Like I want a middle ground, you know? So that's just something I'm thinking about. Because it's like the amount of hours you spend just swiping away, not cool. And that's not a groundbreaking take. obviously. But that is something I guess you could call that my pre-New Year's resolution. Now, I'm trying to start it right now, but I want to extend it that deep. But chest related, that was a good one. That was a good fucking chest day. Heavy, not even reasonably hard, pretty fucking hard. A lot of the brunt work was done on that Smith machine. Like those 3 sets of Smith with the drop set at the end, those were really fucking killer. That was a perfect start. I'm glad I did that instead of like some kind of other kind of fly or cable press or something else. And then that first set of the like really stretch focus flies, a little scrappy. I didn't have it set up at the right height. The second one was much better because I could actually lean forward and pull the cables down, so I wasn't like trying to counteract gravity. I could just push straight down. That one actually felt pretty good. But yeah, that was good. And then those 2 finishers of those kind of decline flies, even though I was a little more hunched in my shoulders, there was literally no upward movement that would activate my front delt. So it really was all just chest as a finisher. The only thing tricky about the freaking little extra like focus motor and everything else is not so good through the mirrors, right? Because when it's pointed at a mirror, it's like sometimes it thinks it's focusing right on the mirror, whatever. A little behind the scenes, little details there. But either way, that was good. So now I'll just get to go home and grub on something. Now, what that's going to be? Probably eggs. Probably fucking eggs. I got a grocery trip planned for tomorrow, guaranteed. So tomorrow we'll have a little grocery day, and I've got a couple more little, basically cooking clips. I'm gonna start cooking up. Little. I got to go back through all the YouTube account and everything, and put all these videos into playlists, like this Balkan series, this everything, and then I got to add the add the dieting tips cooking series. Like imagine like a real like cooking show. That'd be pretty funny. But no, there are definitely a lot of little tricks to the dieting side of things. I'm talking not to spoil it, but I've said this a few times already. Low-fat powdered peanut butter, rehydrated with sugar-free maple syrup and not water, turns that into a really kind of sweet treat, which is actually kind of filling when you mix it with some low-carb keto bread or tortillas. A lot of different kind of ground beef mix with some fat-free cheese, regular ass just turkey sandwiches on some low-carb bread with a lot of lettuce, a lot of mustard, a lot of not normal amount of mustard, like fat-free mayonnaise, pickles, sliced of course, not or what do you call them? What's it called when the pickles are just cut up into, well, either way, like just little things like that, because obviously I've got a dilemma here. I'm hungry and I want to eat foods that make me feel full but don't have too large of a hit calorie wise, because obviously if I overeat or if I eat too many foods that are just like baseline sweet, satiating, usually that's going to come with the caveat of being high calorie, right? And there's not a ton of ways to sneak around it. Like even when you look at the keto ice cream and shit like that, it says keto, it says diet friendly. It's still an 800 calorie tub. It's just only, sweetened with like erythritol or some other kind of like, sugar alcohols or whatever. So it's got a very low carb value, but it's still full fat, so it's hard to sneak around it. So that's where I think some of the staples of my dieting approach, at least when it gets hard, like when I start to really have to plan my meals strategically so that I don't need to like totally overeat later in the day, that's when I usually employ those tricks, which I haven't really done much of. So far, I've been able to get away with just, regular size meals. And half of that is just because I came off of like a 4-ish month bulking phase where I was eating food like there's no tomorrow. And it kind of gave me a bit of a, I don't want to say an ick, that's not the right word, but a little bit of a, let's just say overindulgence of eating a lot of food. So the first few weeks of dieting felt like nothing. Like I wasn't even trying because I just wasn't hungry. But as this dieting phase progresses, I'm going to gradually get hungrier and hungrier. Like, I'm physically going to feel hungrier, and I'm going to have to eat less and less food, because the leaner you get, the lower and steeper of a deficit you kind of have to get into, at least in general, because you want to continue losing fat at whatever rate you're losing it. You know, pound a week, pound and a half a week, whatever that value ends up being. And if you don't have one specifically planned, like whatever, just you want to maintain that progress. So of course that is also going to include increasing cardio, but that kind of does the same thing, right? I mean, if I switch from 30 minutes to 45 minutes of cardio a day, that's probably going to make me a touch hungrier, because now I'm burning extra calories, so my body has more of a need for more food, right? So all I'm trying to say there is, you know, the deeper into a dieting phase you get, the more diligent you have to be. But the lucky part of that is the beginning is a little bit easier, right? It's not as complicated and tricky, because you're the most primed for a deficit, and you can eat the most food and still be in a deficit. But, you know, like with everything lifting wise, the longer you do it and the more progress you make, the trickier it is to make that progress. So if, you know, maybe cutting back on carbs or eating slightly smaller portions every time you had a meal worked for a few months, or even like a month or however long, eventually it's probably going to take a little bit more effort than that, which is why I can't fucking help but talk about counting your calories and macro trackers and everything else. Goodness. Basically in every one of these workout videos, especially when I'm dieting, because there's just no way around it. You know, it's really it. That's like, it's like, how can I turn that light on? How do I get that light to turn on? Like, okay, well, there's probably a light switch, and then if you flip it, it'll turn on, you know? So that's kind of how I think about the, well, it's not really how I think about it, but that's a good analogy for the fact that, like, you know, it's not a mystery to lose body fat and get leaner. Now, it is certainly a set of, you know, tasks, you could say chores, not even chores, but just like things that you have to do and requirements that you have to meet. But if you meet those requirements, you're going to be on track. But I know it's not that simple. Like, it's when anybody I see a ton of TikTok live guys where they're, you know, basically just a dude reasonably fit, like he works out in a tank, and, you know, the caption on the live stream is like, ask for dieting advice, coaching link down below. And then every time they ask the dude, like, how do I lose body fat, the guy just says, eat in a calorie deficit. And then when they ask him, okay, well, how do I beef up? Like, I want to gain muscle. And the guy says, well, eat in a calorie surplus, bro. You got to eat in a surplus. Like, that's right, but that's not the answer. That's like telling somebody who asks you, how do I do a backflip, to say, well, you just do a backflip. You're kind of missing out on that middle ground portion. So that's where I think the phases of calorie counting, not even staying in a deficit or like bulking up or cutting down, but the phases of calorie counting kind of go by these sort of steps. Step one, protein tracking. The easiest one to do, I feel, because I think we all have a very strong connection with the fact that protein equals muscle. Right? It's straight up coming from muscle if you're eating, you know, some beef or whatever. Pretty simple, right? We all grasp that part of things, and, you know, it's cool, it's fun, right? I mean, I remember when I was first starting working out, I was excited to come into the kitchen and slam, you know, like however many packs of sardines, or like raw eggs, or like big ass chunks of turkey breast, because I was like, okay, more protein, more gains. That's what I'm thinking here, right? So that's usually phase one. If you're a 170-pound dude, eat 170 grams of protein. If you're a 200-pound dude, depending on your body fat, maybe, you know, eat 200, or still eat that 170. As long as you're around a gram per pound that you weigh, you're in the sweet spot. And then after that, carbs and fats kind of come up on their own, you know, because simply increasing somebody's carb intake by 100 grams per day on average, if they were plateaued before, fuck, man, that could be it. That could put that dude into a calorie surplus sufficient enough to actually fucking induce some weight gain. And by weight, I mean muscle, you know? And the carbs is what you're going to notice first, because it's actually going to make you feel more energized and physically more pumped during your workouts. So I'd say carbs are probably number 2. Now, in a bulking phase, that's all well and good. It's not too tricky to make sure you, stop at Wendy's and get 2 spicy chicken sandwiches and a fry or something, and make sure you got enough calories to hit your goals for the day. But the tricky part comes when you want to stay under a certain amount of calories, right? Because that's where there's really no getting around it. If you want to legitimately get lean, that's where it's at. Now, of course, this isn't like a calorie counting tutorial, or calorie deficit tutorial. There's a million videos about the subject all over the place, but as just a couple of pointers, right? I like thinking about my day in terms of the amount of hours that I'm eating for, and having a macro tracker, of course, is going to help. That should be on everybody's phone across the board. If you're watching this video and you don't have a macro tracker, App Store, download it for free. Any of them. Boom. Step 1 complete. Right? And I'm not even saying use it. Just get it downloaded first. That's all I'm saying right now. And then just having it on your phone, I bet it's going to make you a little interested and say, okay, I wonder what Sam's talking about. All right, let me try some of this. That sort of thing. But that's step 1 of getting into that. And then, like I was just saying a second ago, I like thinking about my day as how long am I going to be eating for. So right now, waking up at 7-ish, early cardio, come home, hang out for a little bit. My kind of routine ends up being like get the video edited, clean up everything like laundry, whatever. And then that's usually when food starts to be consumed, right around that 11 a.m. noon mark. And then I'm trying to go to bed a little earlier, like 10 or 11. So that puts me at about 12 hours. So I'm eating all my food in a 12-hour window. And I'm aiming for about 2,500 calories per day. So let's just drop that to 2,400 for argument's sake, or simplicity's sake, I mean. So that means, okay, I got 12 hours to eat, 2,400 calories. That means every hour I should probably have eaten about 200 calories-ish. So obviously I'm not going to eat 1,200 calorie meals. I'm really eating like 4 or sometimes even just 3 reasonably big ones. Usually 4 though, about 4 like 700, more like 500 calorie meals, 550 or something. But if I'm eating 4 of those and I got 12 hours, that would mean about every 3 hours or so I should have about a 600 calorie meal. And if I'm aiming for 250 grams of protein, each meal should have about 50-60 grams of protein, because then that times 4 puts me just about at that 250 mark. Sometimes I might grab like some beef sticks or something out of the cupboard, and that'll kind of add to my daily intake. But based on meals, usually around that 50 gram mark. And then if I'm aiming for 150, 200 grams of carbs, then if I'm eating 4 meals a day, each meal shouldn't really extend past 50 grams of carbs. And if they are, I better be freaking careful, because I don't want to overshoot. I want to at least eat something reasonably sized before I go to bed, because going to bed hungry is not easy, right? I mean, obviously, any diehard dude is going to say, well, just deal with it, bro. Do you even want it bad enough? It's like, yeah, I mean, sure, you're fucking right. But why would I torture myself by trying to make myself go to bed hungry if I could have just been a little bit more responsible with my calorie intake throughout the day? So that's where, yeah, sure, just deal with it. Or, you could have some smart, calorie smart, like big meals that don't extend past your kind of daily allotment, in at least on average, and then you can get to go to bed with a full stomach and be in a deficit. I mean, that's really the fucking, may as well be the magic number when it comes to your calories. But I think I kind of skipped a step just now. In terms of getting a grasp on just how many calories you should even be aiming for, right? That's another step here. Just go online, right? Google Chrome, maintenance calorie calculator. In my experience, these are reasonably accurate at giving you a good starting position for where you want to be when it comes to either a deficit, a surplus, maintenance, anything in between. So what that adds up to is, right, you enter your age, your weight, your body fat percentage, just an estimation is fine. How often you work out, it usually describes that as your like daily what's the word? Like your activity level, like strenuous daily exercise. It's 5 times a week, 6 times a week, something along those lines. And then, you enter all that in, and it is going to pump out some numbers for you. Usually, it gives you about 5. Usually gives you about 5 values. It shows you your maintenance calories, where it calculates how many calories you need to eat to stay the same weight that you're at right now. Slight surplus, heavy surplus, slight deficit, heavy deficit. So maybe pick something in between the slight and the heavy, because obviously you don't want to be in too big of a deficit or too big of a surplus, but you do want it to be big enough to notice. And then, obviously, that's just a random formula. It's obviously based on something, but it's not like it knows your genetics or your real activity level. So that's where you have to take it one step further. Pick whichever one of those you're aiming for, obviously. If you're trying to diet down, pick one of the deficits. If you're trying to bulk up, pick one of the surpluses. Stick to it to a T for at least a week. Aim for 2, definitely, but at least a week. And every day in the morning, after you've gone to the bathroom, I'm talking fully stripped down so you don't have any extra variables in terms of your weight, because your morning weight before you've eaten anything and after you've gone to the bathroom is the most accurate, because you're in the exact same state every time. No food, no extra water, that's your weight. And then track that in like a Google Sheets or something, or you can just write it down in the notepad if you want, but sometimes I like putting it into like a little sheet so I can graph it, and it's kind of cool to see the data. And then see what happened. Right now, obviously a week is kind of short because that's only 1 week of dieting. Usually this is like a multi-month thing, so you might have to wait till week 2, week 3 to begin to see a real trend line. But if you can do that, then you should be able to adjust accordingly. So if you really actually tracked all the food that you ate and it said you were eating a deficit, but you've tracked your weight and for the last 3 weeks you have not gained or lost much weight at all, now day by day you are going to see some fluctuations. But if the average trend, if you were to kind of like extrapolate it into just one line, is flat, then that means that calorie intake you've just been eating is only maintenance. It's not an actual deficit. It's not a surplus either. It's just enough to stay the same weight. So I don't even have to say it. You already know what you have to change here. You have to now cut back on your calorie intake a little bit. Now the protein's going to stay the same. I'm eating 250 grams of protein whether I'm bulking up or cutting down. But the carbs and fats, basically the fuel kind of calories, I say, or I kind of imagine, that's what you want to kind of begin to flip around. So that's where, right, if your weight has been exactly the same, you've been eating 250 grams of carbs per day, 75 grams of fats, maybe cut the carbs down to like 175 a day, and then repeat the process, right? Actually stay under those limits for, I know it's a while, like 3 weeks is probably about when you'll really begin to see a trend. Weigh yourself every day in the morning, track that weight onto some kind of something to be able to look back at the data, and then see what changed. So I know that's not necessarily the most easy thing to do, right? I'm not trying to say it's it's like nothing, but that's what I imagine to be the easiest way to go about it. And when I say that's what I imagine to be the easiest, that's for me. Like, from my perspective, looking at it like that, basically just pure data, like, what goes in must come out kind of a situation, that makes the most sense to me. So I can really get behind that, right? Looking at it just as fuel for the fucking machine. But if that's a little trickier for you, and you really have a hard time doing that, then it might be easier for you to actually maybe go to a meal prep company or something, a little pricier than like cooking all this shit at home. So maybe just meal prepping at home could be a little easier. And then making yourself meals, where instead of every day you have to track numbers, you make yourself these meals all evenly sized, like each one has 60 grams of carbs, 50 grams of protein, 20 of fat or something like that, like you do the math, and then just only have 4 of those meals a day. And that would be basically the same thing. But I don't get behind that as much, because for me, I like the flexibility, right? I mean, if I want to eat 100 grams of carbs worth of, or like if I want 100 grams of carbs and 30 grams of fats worth of peanut M&Ms one day, fuck man, I'll eat it. But I gotta pay the price for it, because now I have to deal with only having, 40 grams of fats left for the day and 50 grams of carbs. But for me, at least, if I want to really quench my sweet tooth, I will do it. And then, I can handle the fact that, all right, now I've only got this many calories left, but I got to enjoy some treats. So it's, kind of a give and take. Now, as this dieting phase progresses, that's not going to happen so frequently, because obviously calories are not all going to affect your body the exact same way, right? Don't think I don't know that. So once I get to like a much leaner state, I'm talking like closer to actually shredded, then I'm probably just going to be eating real simple ass foods, like nothing, nothing crazy, because, if you eat anything like extra sugary, extra whatever, it'll kind of really fluctuate how much water you got. And I kind of really, I got to hone this down to a science. If the plan is like a legit competition level leanness, you're not necessarily going to get away with, a full day of protein bars pre-show, something along those lines. But that's to find out in a little while. But that's my approach, right? So I think looking up the maintenance calorie calculator, grabbing a macro tracker, and then getting a food scale for the kitchen, and then go to, every time you eat a food that doesn't have a nutrition label on the back of it, just look up Calorie King, and then whatever that food is. That's a really good resource. I like that a lot, where it's like, okay, I've got 8 ounces of flank steak my dad cooked on the grill. Calorie King flank steak cooked. And then on that little website, you can write in like, okay, 8 ounces, and it's going to plug out the data. Now, sure, even if it's off by a couple percentage points, that is still leaps and bounds ahead of not tracking anything at all. So that's my little approach there. Do with that information what you will, right? You can lead a lifter to the macro tracker, but you can't force him to count his calories, right? That's on you. So the ball is now in your court. If you were considering locking in this winter for a serious, well, I guess in my case, a Shredathon. As silly as that sounds, I didn't want to say winter cut again. All these dieting phases, I'm gonna give them some funny names now. Break away from the theme of just bulk and cut. But either way, I got a back day tomorrow. Last back day, when I was so the day after my last back day on arms, when I was posing down, I I kind of like cramped up my lat when I was doing like one of those double bi shots. I wonder if I gotta start drinking some more electrolytes. But either way, that'll be a wide ass and hopefully extra veiny pump. So I'm already getting excited for that. I better go have some good night's rest and dream about it. I feel like it's fucking Christmas morning every day. But until then, I'll see ya.